The Seattle Seahawks made a lot of moves this offseason, and they improved a lot in this upcoming draft class. But how much did they really improve to give themselves a Super Bowl shot this year? My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down the Seahawks 2025 draft. But before we do that, Ryan is getting married here in a couple of weeks. So send him an early wedding day present by hitting that subscribe button, tackling that bell, and even leaving a like and a comment. Let us know your thoughts on the Seahawks draft. And Ryan, with that being said, let's pull it up here. So,
Let's do it.
first pick, 18th overall selection in the 2025 NFL draft, the Seahawks took Zabel, the offensive lineman out of North Dakota State. He was a tackle for them, but they have him here as a guard because he's going to kick into guard in the NFL. Then in the second round, they have Nick Emmanwori, safety out of South Carolina. Then also in the second round as well, Elijah Arroyo, tight end out of Miami. Then, kind of in a shocking move, they got Jalen Milroe, quarterback out of Alabama, towards the end of the third round. Then in the fifth round, Rylie Mills, defensive tackle out of Notre Dame, Tory Horton, receiver out of Colorado State in the fifth round as well, and then Robbie Courts or
Ouzts. Robbie
Ouzts.
Ouzts.
Ouzts, I like it. So I couldn't tell. I might need to get glasses. Tight end out of Alabama. And then the sixth round, they got Bryce Cabeldue, offensive tackle out of Kansas. And then final three picks in the seventh round, Damien Martinez, for running back from Miami, Mason Richman, offensive tackle from Iowa, and then Ricky White, the third receiver from UNLV. And so the Seahawks team, definitely a big facelift that's going on as of right now, moving on from Geno Smith. And then you're bringing up Sam Darnold, moving on from a couple other guys as well, like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So some big things that are going on overall. And they added a lot of skill position players, a lot of depth in the trenches as a whole. And I think in general, though, I think they did a good job overall finding good value with all the selections that they did end up getting. Ryan, what are your overall thoughts on the Seahawks draft?
Yeah, this is a fantastic draft. This is one of the top ones that I think we've gone through so far. I thought Zabel was a solid pick there. How many times do you think we mocked this pick? We each did 12 mock drafts and we did two together. So what was that?
If it
Uh,
if it wasn't Zabel, it was Tyler Booker.
yeah,
Like that's pretty much what it was.
so I would say probably like 20 of the 26 mock drafts we had
Yeah.
Zabel go into the Seahawks. So I that's a really good pick. Nick Emmanwori is really interesting. I am very excited to see what he's going to do in that Mike McDonald defense. So I think that's going to be fun to see, is that kind of hybrid safety linebacker player. Elijah Arroyo, very athletic tight end. Didn't do a whole lot in line, so I'm really curious to see if they just line him up as like a power slot, glorified receiver, basically, or if they actually put him in line and have him block. He has the size to do it, but he's kind of built like Kyle Pitts, where he's like tall and lanky, but he's still 255 pounds.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if they line him up like that. Jalen Milroe, I thought, is well worth taking a shot on here. He's going to take a couple years to develop. You have Sam Darnold in the meantime. And then day three guys, I really like Tory Horton. He would have been a day two pick if he hadn't torn his ACL in the fifth or sixth game of the season. Ricky White, I like as well. Guy had 3 blocked punts this past year. Like just a very random stat, but super explosive, very good at just like finding a way to get to the punter in special team situations. So maybe he's just going to stick to the roster as like a true special teamer. But yeah, this was a really good draft in my opinion. They filled a lot of holes that I felt that they needed to get rid of, or like to fill. I do think Zabel could potentially play center. They didn't draft one, and they didn't really draft an edge player. I think Boye Mafe can hold down the fort though for a little while longer, and I think they have some other developmental pieces on the roster as well. So I think this was a good draft. I thought all in all they did good, and my gripes are very nitpicky with this.
Well, and that's where with the defense, because they only had 2 defensive selections, Nicky Manwari and then Rylie Mills. But to your point, though, it's when they traded for Ernest Jones, the 4th last year from Tennessee, like this, the defense definitely changed and they improved
Yeah,
significantly. And they've got good young talent on there. And then even combine that with some good veteran talent
yeah,
as well. So it makes sense then too when I go look at these moves, and I think there's a long term game plan. As you're right, Sam Darnold, he is on contract only for a couple of years, and if he pans out and he's great, then it's awesome. Let's trade Jalen Milroe and then see if we can recoup that 3rd round pick at some point. If Sam Darnold turns out to be the first round pick that we all thought he could be, when he was drafted in like 2018, I think. But I also see the longer term plan as well as when they do get that younger quarterback that like, hey, we're ready to pull the trigger on. They need to have a solidified team around him, especially on that offensive side of the ball. And adding
Mhm.
Gray Zabel now they have their entire starting offensive line, according to our lads, are all on their rookie contracts. I don't believe Charles Cross has been extended yet. He will be, but
Yeah.
Charles Cross, the left tackle, drafted in round 1 of 2022. Now you have Gray Zabel sliding in at left guard, first round pick from 25. Oluwatimi, I think it did pretty good there, actually. I think that
Yeah.
was pretty good. So, fifth round pick from 2023, Anthony Bradford, fourth round pick from 2023, and then Abraham Lucas, third round pick from 2022. So, they have a nice, solid, young core offensive line that they're going to be developing. Some guys that still need to improve on, and not too serious commitments as of right now for guys that they feel potentially could be moved on from. And even too, they brought in veteran guys in the receiving room to help out, but even getting guys like Tory Horton, who had good potential upside, even potentially could have been drafted early day 3 in last year's draft class, which was much better, but he decided to stay. Then you go get guys like Ricky White with the speed that they have. And then even Elijah Arroyo as well. Let's see if he can develop as a good tight end. I think you're setting up the foundation though for like this is the 3, 4, 5 year plan. I think they can be somewhat competitive, maybe make a wild card spot if things pan out. But I also think too long term though, I really like the moves that they made setting up the foundation this uh for this offense.
Yeah. No, this is what we talked about though coming into this draft class. Like last year there were a lot of like faces of the franchise. It was a very quote unquote sexy draft where you had a lot of wide receivers, quarterbacks, the whole 9 yards. And this year this was about adding depth, adding a baseline talent to your roster. And I feel like
Yep.
they did that and then some. So that way, like next year, if it's a better draft class or in 2027, when you have Jeremiah Smith and who's the kid from Alabama? Ryan Williams.
Ryan
Uh
Williams, yeah.
he like when those guys come out, you can add one of those guys and really upgrade the talent on your roster, but you have to set the baseline of talent throughout. And I feel like that's exactly what they did here. Even all the way through day 3, like Ricky White, I feel like while he's an older prospect, he from UNLV, he had a really good early career at Michigan State, transferred to UNLV, good special teams contributor. Robbie Ouzts, Tory Horton, like those guys are going to set a baseline in their respective rooms as well. Rylie Mills, like this is just a good draft. I'm going to give this one an A minus. It's maybe not quite to the drafts that I liked previously, like the Ravens or the Eagles, but I think they made a lot of selections. There's not really a whole lot of nitpicking I can do with the picks that they did make. And I think it's just a good draft overall.
Yeah, I would give this an A minus as well. It's nothing against them like not being the best draft as a whole. I think if I'm a Seahawks fan, I would be ecstatic kind of with the draft that they did get here. But yeah, it's I think more some other teams I think just had better drafts because they just happen to get more talent fall to them, so to say. Especially considering where they were at. So here though, I think this is a really good draft. The Seahawks are going to be a fascinating team to watch. I could see them going 10-7. But I could also see them going like 3-14, 4-13 as well, because the NFC West is going to be tough. And
Yeah.
honestly, just the NFC now as a whole is really kicking up. There's several good teams in the NFC East. The NFC North obviously is loaded. NFC South is definitely gettable if the Seahawks end up playing any of those teams. But at the same time, though, too, that there are the Bucks you got to look out for. The Panthers are up and coming. My Falcons are obviously going to win the Super Bowl this year. The Saints suck, but in general, though, I mean, there's a couple of teams that are very formidable in each division, and so it's going to be interesting on where the Seahawks end up kind of falling when it comes to their record and how they end up doing overall this season.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be fun to watch. They had a lot of turnover, and I think with a lot of turnover comes a lot of questions,
Yeah.
and the new coaching staff really putting their players in place. So I could see them being really good. I could also see them being really not that good. So
Yeah.
we'll just have to wait and see how the season goes. Let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of the Seahawks 2025 draft class. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? Done that. We'll see you guys next time.